G'day amigos, Carlos Alberto Diego here from the Four Diegos, and welcome to the Four Diegos Hot Topic. With me is Liverpool supporter Warren Diego. Now Warren, of course, Brendan Rodgers, a Swansea coach, who's quite a celebrated coach, very respected coach, he's going to be announced on Friday as a new coach of Liverpool. The question I ask you is, can Brendan Rodgers, a coach who has been coaching since 2008 in senior football, having coached Reading and Watford before this, doing the kiddies at Chelsea before that under Jose Mourinho, can a bloke who has only been in the game for that long and not won anything with any other club except for a championship through the playoffs, promotion through to the EPL last season, can he suddenly make Liverpool world beaters? Because you still reckon they're a big club.
Well, Carlos, I'm refusing to have this conversation with you unless you bring something new to the table, because the normal tripe that you'll just expand out of your mouth in the next couple of minutes will just be typical.
Well, what are your thoughts on Brendan Rodgers?
I'll say a couple of things. I don't want world beaters. I just want top 6, and then I'll look for top 4, and then we'll look to challenge the world.
So you're no longer a big club?
We're no longer a club. We're a big club in fan supporter base and perceptually, but in terms of performance, no, we're not. So we've just got to get back onto an even keel. I like the appointment, and I even would have liked Martinez as an appointment, because it seems to be making a statement that we've got to go down a new path. We've got to give a new guy a go. Do I know enough about him? Swansea finished 11th. Pretty good for a team promoted. You're right. In the normal claptrap you'll produce, no expectations, small club, doesn't need to do anything, blah, 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 blah. All true. But good performance from a club that hasn't historically been in the Premier League.
Why did Liverpool... apparently they had a short list of about 20 here. And in fact, Brendan Rodgers, when he was first approached, refused to be interviewed.
Because he didn't want to be on a list, Carlos. He wanted to be the man.
Why aren't some of the best coaches in the world knocking down the door of Liverpool to coach them?
Carlos, you're doing what you normally do. You're asking questions you know the answer to. The simple fact of the matter is that at the moment, Liverpool don't generate the profile. They do perceptually with the fans who love the club, but in the wider football community, they simply don't have the profile. If Liverpool had finished 3rd, beaten by 6 points, and for some reason Kenny Dalglish had got hit by a bus, you would have had a truckload of managers looking to take over. The simple fact of the matter is you haven't got that, and the club's got 2 options. You either go for not an old hack, but a guy who, Claudio Ranieri, those type of guys that have been recycled through big club after big club, and they've done okay, but never anything significant. Or you take and bite the bullet to go after a guy who is essentially untried, unproven. You don't know how he's going to go, but at least you're being seen to have a forward-thinking vision for the club.
So you've given up. You've given up. You've thrown the towel in. Liverpool, a side that has probably equivalent support throughout the world as someone like Manchester United, but a lot of people don't actually admit it anymore.
Yep.
They were a team in the 80s, probably one of the greatest teams. Of course, our good friend Craig Johnston played for them. One of the greatest teams in the history of world football, that team of the 80s from Liverpool. You've given up. You've thrown in the towel. They've picked a guy who plays pretty football. He actually, I've got to say, did a great job with Swansea. Again, no expectations to win anything. He was at Watford. Didn't win anything. Of course, Reading. He left via mutual consent, apparently, in 2009, picked up the Swansea job. And wasn't it ironic that Roberto Martinez, the other one in the mix for this, was a Swansea manager before Brendan Rodgers, and they were both were going for this job, and they were both talking to Liverpool about that. Isn't it sad? As much as these guys are up-and-coming coaches, and I don't take anything away from them, but Liverpool have to almost throw their arms up and say, we will never attract a big-name coach in our history again, and we just have to go down and hope for maybe Europa Cup, maybe sneak into the top 4. If there was Intertoto Cup, they'd be playing in it regularly.
You've obviously been spending time watching Question Time in Parliament, because the unsubstantiated tripe that comes out of your mouth is astounding. It's amazing, Carlos. And let's face it, everything you say is right. But the premise that you are saying is once you're down, you can never become good again. I mean, let's talk about Juventus. Now, I know they might have paid their way to the top.
Well, they won the league undefeated in a new stadium. I mean, they look, for a team that was a couple of years ago relegated to the City of B because of the referee tampering, they've turned things around.
It's Liverpool have
been just absolutely...
You are wrong.
They
you
have
are
just
factually
been
wrong about this.
They were
4 years ago, Carlos. 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we missed winning the title against Manchester United by 2 points.
So what's happened?
What's happened is the ownership, Hicks and Gillette, were the cancer that permeated through the club. The new owners, they went back, and in the midst of anything, they said, go back to the legend. It didn't work. I'm hoping that the line is drawn in the sand now and the club can move forward. Because of all your prognostications about the demise of Liverpool, you are mired in the fact that you are factually incorrect. Liverpool, before Chelsea, who was the last English team to win the Champions League? The answer,
so the question
Liverpool.
is, it was a house built on quicksand, basically.
It was,
and they in the final of the Champions League when they got there. No one expected them to win that. They just crawled their way.
But like the people in Auckland do, Carlos. See, when you get in quicksand, you move away.
Yeah, well, the question is, even with Rafael Benitez at the time, who was a manager and got them all the way to the pointy end of Champions League and stuff like that, they moved him on because he just wasn't what they wanted. They just don't seem to get it right. They were trying to return back to the boot room with Kenny Dalglish. That was wrong. They paid an enormous amount of money for Andy Carroll.
On principle,
there's a lot of things to go on.
On principle, new management, new ownership, new young manager, fresh start. You'd have to, in all the bitterness and the bile of Liverpool hating that you have promoted over the last 4 years, you have to accept that in terms of a strategic decision. Risky, but better than the crap decisions they've made in the previous 4 years.
You know what I can't wait for? West Ham to play Liverpool a couple of times next season and also meet you in the Cups. Carling Cup, the Kissing Your Sister, and the FA Cup Kissing Your Sister, because that's the best chance Liverpool have got to win anything. And if West Ham's in there, I cannot wait.
Is this finished? I'm asking Rodrigo, the producer. Is this finished, Rodrigo? Can it be finished?
That was the 40 Diego's hot topic. Liverpool are doomed. West Ham up there. Until next week.
Olé!